Right now at noon, the city of Joplin bestows the honor of a street renaming on a longtime resident.
And we've got those variable clouds across the area, still enough sunshine to make it pretty darn hot, and the hotter weather is still on the way. We'll have a look at your forecast coming up.
Plus, KCU Joplin hosts a MASH camp for potential medical leaders of tomorrow.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, Joplin Fire and Police were called to a serious crash at 7th and Maiden Lane last night around 9:20 p.m. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Elise Snowy. Multiple patients were transported to area hospitals with unknown injuries. The intersection was closed to all traffic while authorities conducted their investigations. It was determined that one car traveling west on 7th Street turned in front of another car heading in the opposite direction. All lanes of traffic resumed around 11 p.m. Now let's check in with Chris Warner for a look at the forecast.
Now we can pretty well sum up today as hot. We're already on our way to the 90s, and the temperatures will continue to rise as we go through the weekend and next week. Starting with a live look from MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line. You can see dark spots, you can see sunny spots, and that's why we call it variable clouds. Got just enough openings that we're getting just enough sunshine out there that it is heating things up, and that light breeze really isn't doing much for us. Started yesterday at 71, made it up to 90, so still above where we're supposed to be, but our average high gradually increasing as well. Temperatures across the area right now, we've got mid-upper 80s, and we're on our way to highs right around 90, and once you factor in that dew point humidity, heat index values already into the upper 80s and low 90s across the area as well. Heading through the rest of the evening, we'll be in again between the partly and mostly cloudy skies, down to about 77 by midnight. And as I mentioned, it's really going to get hot. Today's the first day of summer, and Mother Nature is going to remind us that summer's here as we head into next week. We'll break down the details on that heat here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, we'll see you soon, Chris. Well, a crowd of people gathered in Joplin's Easttown neighborhood to recognize a lifelong resident and civil servant. KOAM's Samantha Walker has more on honoree J.D. Love and why the community is coming out to celebrate him.
Mr. JD is a man that has given so much to his community, and I don't know a person that doesn't like Mr. JD.
J.D. Love is a name that many people recognize around the Joplin community. Love is a lifelong Joplin resident and spent decades as a public servant, from being a police officer to a coroner.
He is just what you would call a true legacy in Joplin, a true legend in Joplin.
The Easttown Dream District and the City of Joplin are working together to ensure love service to the city is never forgotten. They have unveiled a ceremonial street name, J.D. Love Way on McKee Avenue, the street where Love grew up. He says this honor is something he never expected to see.
Every time I think about this day, I'll be happy for the rest of my life because it's something I never expected, you know. But it happened in the city that I love.
Former co-workers and citizens who remember Love and his service came out to thank him for everything he has done.
That's what made him an exceptional officer. So it's his kindness that really stuck out to me. He was a great role model on how you treated people, how you provided that service to the citizens.
And while organizers hadn't originally planned to hold the ceremony on Juneteenth, they say there is no better day for it to happen.
If it wasn't for Juneteenth, we wouldn't even have this moment. This is a real significant moment in history, and we are just happy to be a part of it, happy to help get it orchestrated, and just happy to see it through completion.
Those who came to honor Mr. J.D. Love say it was great to give him this recognition when he was still here to receive it.
It's a great day for not only J.D. Love, but for our community as a whole. To be able to honor someone while they're still here and they can accept it and receive it is a wonderful thing. And seeing this make me almost do something right.
Reporting in Joplin, Samantha Walker, KOAM News.
Love signs will be added to the existing signs along McKee Avenue as a ceremonial naming. Residents will not have to change their address. Kansas City University in Joplin showed some high school students what it takes to work in the medical field. The MASH Camp event introduced 9th through 12th graders to different healthcare career options with plenty of hands-on learning. Students got to tour the various labs and facilities, everything from the emergency room to ambulances and even a mock operating room.
We are on day 2 of our summer MASH camp, and so MASH camp is basically just an opportunity for high school students, preferably, to stay engaged with the sciences and healthcare career options, and we just kind of like to give them some opportunities to get in the hospital or to get in the facilities, get their hands dirty, see what different departments are like and things that they would potentially be doing.
Event organizers hope to encourage high school students into the medical field in rural Missouri, where there is a shortage of both physicians and dentists. Well, the Carthage Public Library had a couple of new visitors. Robots Dash and Dot dropped in on patrons to help teach kids about STEM and STEAM. The pair demonstrated such things as navigating a maze and responding to individual voices. Event organizers hope the two can encourage kids to have fun and continue to learn during this summer break. Well, on your marks, get set, float. Some McDonald County high school students made waves with a boat building competition. They put their cardboard and duct tape watercrafts to the test by trying to float across a pool with at least one person on board. The idea of the summer school project is to learn engineering principles, encourage creativity and teamwork, and to, of course, have some fun. Oh, coming up, we'll see how Kansas farmers are trying to protect their livestock against bird flu. And later, we're making secret ingredient iced tea in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Well, there are concerns the H5N1 bird flu could grow into a more pressing problem for people. It's already spread to livestock herds in at least 12 states, including Kansas, and 4 human cases reported in 3 states. To combat this spread, Kansas implemented strict movement rules for lactating cows that require both a certificate of veterinarian inspection and a negative milk test. But as KOAM's Tanya Bach shows us, while producers remain vigilant, they're also confident their products are safe.
We're cow-calf, and I custom graze some stockers. I've got some laying hens, sell eggs to neighbors. We got a few goats for the kids, and I raise hogs.
Wayne Bontrager has been raising livestock at Prairie Oak Farms outside of Parsons, Kansas for 9 years, just long enough to remember the 2015 bird flu outbreak. That year, commercial farms in the U.S. destroyed more than 42 million chickens and 7.5 million turkeys due to the highly pathogenic avian influenza H5N1 virus. This Butterball turkey farm in Jasper County, just one of many with confirmed cases.
You know, there's always that risk. We can't control the birds that migrate through this area. To me, I have never had any issues with it, so I don't have a big concern, but it's something to be aware of.
This year, Bontrager says he was surprised when he heard the HPAI virus jump from birds to cattle. And he wasn't alone.
The fact that it jumped from birds into our cattle, or our dairy population specifically, did catch us off guard.
Justin Smith is the Kansas Animal Health Commissioner.
How many positive tests were there in Kansas?
So we actually had 4 herds that were confirmed positive with HPAI.
And were any of those in the eastern Kansas region?
No, unfortunately, all of our impacted dairies were all out in the western third of our state.
Smith says dairies immediately pulled the infected cows from the milking line, and they took measures to ensure none of their milk entered the food supply.
It's proven time and time again that the United States has one of the most safest food supply systems in the world, and we rely on that. And so the processes that have been put in place, whether it be meat inspection at our packing facilities or the pasteurization process within our dairy processors, has been effective and has been proven effective.
Smith says even the infected cows bounced back.
And as they started to come back up feed, we've seen those cows recover really very well. We had very little loss.
Little loss, but still a big concern for livestock producers everywhere.
I'm someone who wants to support the local people around me or whoever buys my products. I want it to be a healthy product for them, that they can, understand that we as farmers care about how the public views us.
Reporting in Labette County, Kansas, Tanya Bach, KOAM News.
Smith says recent studies have shown the pasteurization process does inactivate the virus. And if you're worried about eating beef, following proper cooking recommendations will also incapacitate the virus within the meat. Still to come on KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
It's the first day of summer, and we've got a cool thirst quencher that has a secret ingredient, and you won't want to miss it.
It is the first day of summer. It's already been hot, but dangerous heat is on the way next week. We'll break down the details when we come back. Welcome back to the KOAM News at noon. So we've had a number of hot days already, and now today is officially the first day of summer. It's also the longest day of the year, as if we needed more heat out there. But believe it or not, summer is really going to kick into high gear as we head into next week, as we look at the possibility of some dangerous temperatures out there. So let's start first with the rest of today. So as we have seen on the future track models for the last several days, pop-up storms are a possibility. We're kind of in that ripe environment for those, but we haven't really seen anything produced. We've seen it try and come close, but not much has happened. But nonetheless, it's when we're not prepared for the rain that something does happen. So just keep in mind that a pop-up shower storm is possible as we head through the afternoon. Otherwise, we are going to be partly to mostly cloudy out there. We head into the overnight hours, we'll still be partly to mostly cloudy. And as we go into Friday, same situation. But the cloud cover not doing much to help us with any of the high temperatures. And Friday as well, there's that possibility of a pop-up shower storm, but the overall chances are still very low. The biggest thing we're going to have to contend with is going to be the heat. And as we head into the weekend, temperatures are really going to start to take off. And as it gets hotter, that means heat index values are also going to increase across the area as well. Let's start with today on our UV index. Reminder is at a 10. That is very high. Burn time for unprotected skin is 10 minutes, so make sure you're taking precautions out there. In terms of our heat risk potential, we've still got minor to moderate, so reminder that the minor is heat index values roughly 90 to 95, and the moderate is going to be that 95 to 100 degree range. As we head into Friday, though, we start to heat up. We see moderate begin to overtake more of the area, and we see the major start to crop up in parts of southeastern Kansas. The major is heat index values from 100 to 105. By Saturday, moderates overspread the entire area. A lot of our western counties now under that major heat risk, and that continues to shift off to the east, where more and more of the area by Sunday is in major. Remember, that's 100 to 105. So by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday, we're now at extreme heat risk across most of southeast Kansas, sprinkling into parts of southwest Missouri. And by Tuesday, it continues to spread out across the area. So what is that? That is heat index values in excess of 105 degrees. And with next week's temperatures, they could easily reach 110. So you've got to take it safe out there. We're going to continue to remind you of these heat safety tips. Number one, if you've got pets, do early morning walks with them when it's still cool outside, or at least somewhat cool. Make sure they're indoors otherwise. Keep your kids hydrated. Water, Pedialyte Pop's a great idea as we head into next week with that heat index climbing. You really want to keep them inside. For those who have to work outside, again, find plenty of shade, take frequent breaks, and stay hydrated as well. And then like kids, the elderly susceptible to this dangerous heat, so make sure you're checking on them as well. Quick look at temperatures. 87 in Joplin, south-southwest breeze at 6. Already feels like 91, and around the area, again, those temperatures warming up. We've got a lot of mid to upper 80s across the region, and once we factor in these dew points, which by the way, look at Yates Center, for example, 75 dew point. So we are in that muggy to soupy range across the area, putting those heat index values, again, already into the low 90s in a number of locations, and they're going to continue to climb. So again, our highs today reaching about 90 degrees, that variable breeze and variable clouds across the area. Then next week, that's what I want to talk about the most. Yeah, we got pop-up storm chances. Again, as we've seen, those don't really add up to much, but those daytime highs pushing mid-upper 90s, getting close to 100 as we kick off the next work week. That's, again, where that extreme comes in on the heat risk map, because that's going to push our heat index values close to 110. So you just got to be safe out there. Make sure you're taking precautions, taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. Well, stick around. We're making secret ingredient iced tea in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. We'll be right back. Well, today's Mr. Food recipe is perfect for when you need to cool off and beat the summertime heat. Howard is showing us how to make secret ingredient iced tea in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
You know, we're a nation that loves iced tea. And different parts of the country have different ways to enjoy it. For those who live up north, more than likely they like it unsweetened, while Southerners are probably big fans of sweet tea. So let me share with you a trick that we discovered that can make any iced tea perfectly smooth and refreshing. We start off like normal by placing some tea bags in boiling water. Then we add a secret ingredient, baking soda. We'll let it sit for about 15 minutes so everything can steep. What the baking soda does is remove the bitterness from the tannins in the tea, which makes it nice and smooth. After removing the tea bags, we add in some sugar while it's still warm. This way the sugar dissolves better. Okay, now we add in some cold water and lemon before popping it in the fridge. Then right before serving it, maybe add some fresh mint if you want. Talk about refreshing, and it's the perfect way to stay hydrated and happy all summer long. So right after the news, jump on your computer, tablet, or smartphone and check out the recipe for our secret ingredient iced tea, along with a bunch of our most popular summertime thirst quenchers. Hey Kel, come on and try this. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a refreshing way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go on over to our website. Of course, that's KOAMnewsnow.com. Now, here's a look at the 4-state market prices.
All right, again, today, first day of summer. It's going to be hot. It has been hot. Maybe some morning storms Sunday, a few pop-up storms next week. But the big story is those temperatures back up into the upper 90s, near 100 next week, pushing our heat index values to dangerous, if not deadly levels at 110 as we head next week. So summer really arriving with a vengeance.
Yeah, got to be careful out there. For sure. Absolutely. Dad, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, lots coming up at 5. For starters, New York's governor signs a landmark bill into law today, banning what she calls addictive social media feeds for kids under age 18. We're going to hear from the governor and see what's driving this groundbreaking legislation. Plus, the Peoria Tribe Housing Authority breaks ground on new homes in Miami, Oklahoma. And we're going to have some tips on preventing scams aimed at people with dementia and Alzheimer's during this Alzheimer's Awareness Month. Hope you'll join us for those stories. A lot more, of course. It's coming up today. KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dow. And that's the news for now. Thank you for joining us on KOAM News at noon. We'll, of course, see you right back here at 5. But before we go, we'd like to introduce you to some students from the Altoona Midway School District. Have a great rest of your day.